Neural Medical is a medical device manufacturer. We primarily deal with glaucoma shot implants, as well as other implants as well relating to glaucoma. So in terms of my role at Neural Medical, I'm a senior regulatory specialist here at Neural Medical. My primary task is to deal with the regulatory aspect, the registration, the approval of products, the pre-market clearance, and then also working on the label side, approval, documentation as well. One of our main goals is to have adequate labeling. It's very important in the medical device industry, in any type of industry, primarily that deals with the public eye and you deal with labels. You want to have your labels correct. You don't want to have mistakes. So that leads to errors and potentially recalls. And that's the ultimate thing we want to avoid in any type of industry. We want to avoid that to the best possibility. So TVT is a great tool for that. And we got introduced to TVT by my boss. He was researching in intelligence software that can help with that. Label approval and making sure that we have adequate needs and make sure we don't not make any mistakes on our proofreading and approvals. So for us, that was the need. The old-fashioned proven method, and that was just time consuming, which is just visual time, going line by line, item by item, and making sure everything was correct. And for us, that was very time consuming. For our reviewers, very time consuming. So to potentially get TVT on board to really save us time on that approval side of the labeling and making sure we do it correctly in that short period of time is very important to us. So that's tremendous. Hours, especially on IFUs, sometimes those hours can lead to days, especially on those long, massive IFUs that we have for some of our products. So it does help to, alleviate hours and potentially days off the workload. It's really beneficial for us. One of the potential uses besides the labeling aspect is reviewing standards, right? Any changes between revisions to standards or any type of quality related document that we have revisions for internally, whether that's SOPs that we can generate a report of the changes, or like I mentioned, the standards, and also even regulations and changes in laws that we deal with on the regulatory side, or whether that be quality agreements or contracts, anything that relates to the quality system documents that has a revision to it, we potentially might have a use for TVT on that side of it. But we are still in the process of implementing, and then that will get finalized soon. Yeah, so we work with vendors. And they provide us translations, and that's another thing we're going to use TVT for. Is once those translations are provided to us, to make sure that we incorporate those translations to IFU correctly, based on the proofs that were provided to us. So we're going to compare the translations to the new revision in the IFU using TVT and generating that report. So the complex language aspect of the capabilities of it, from right to left, left to right, Hebrew from Thailand, and Japanese and Chinese as well. So that to us was very beneficial because we deal in these markets. I was very impressed. They were very thorough in their explanations of TVT and really walking us through the process and how to use TVT, and then the tools associated with TVT, and then the manual and how to work through files. And even when we had an example that we wanted to run by, they were very patient with us in explaining it and how to use the TVT effectively. So to me, I was impressed, and I can relate it to my team internally much easier because of those explanations. Our users, our TVT users, will be going through the TVT training online that is available by the TVT. And it does come included with all the packages coming with TVT. So that's very beneficial for our team. They can go through those trainings as we are implementing the program. And as well as, the TVT manual that we've kind of created a work instruction off of, SOPs, if you will. That's really beneficial to us as well. It was really well written and clear. Now, really, we've kind of initiate that process are fully implemented or expected on track. And the last step is the validation. And I think that's the most important thing, the validation and testing. And what we've done is purchase your validation package, which is For our software engineers, it makes them very happy because it makes their work less. It's very thorough, it's very clear, precise, and it's going to really alleviate the time for that. It's going to take them to do the testing and verification. It's a very good tool. If you're using any type of documents, and of course all the companies are, and you're making revisions to documents, it's very effective. You can compare image files, you can compare massive Excel files, data information. So it's a lot more useful than I thought it'd be, potentially before me even knowing. So I'm very impressed.